Welcome everyone to our panel discussion. I'm excited to have you all here as we dive into the essential aspects of franchise ownership on how you can make a informed decision. After myself, we're going to have Bryan Cranfill. He is the franchise license advisor for franchise home franchise concepts, and Bryan will talk about what the process is like if you're investigating one of their franchises. And then next we'll have Michael Allen, First Financial, and Michael's firm does a tremendous amount of SBA loans for the whole industry, and is an expert in that area. So what is the process of someone that is interested in exploring franchise ownership? Probably the first person they can run into is someone like me, certified franchise advisor. And what I'll do is really get to know you. We have a consultation and find out what your skill sets are, what your interests are, and budget. And once we discuss all that, I will look in your market area based on your criteria and come back with what I think are the 5 best opportunities. And then hopefully after we do a review, there's a couple that you have interest in. So the next step would be to introduce you to the franchisor. And it's probably like an 8-week discovery process. You'll learn everything about that industry and the franchise. And then as you're investigating a franchisor, you're also want to look at financing the startup, and people often do so through an SBA type loan. And then we're going to have Michael Allen. He's going to talk about some of the SBA loans that are available to you and kind of how they work. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Bryan Cranfill. Not only is he a very experienced licensed advisor, he's a multi-unit franchisee with one of home franchise concept brands. It's someone I truly value, his experience and expertise, and he has been a great resource to anyone that is exploring a particular company. So Bryan, if you wouldn't mind kind of tell the audience what they would expect if they were interested in one of your brands, and what type of information do you provide for them so they can make a informed decision on probably one of the most important things they have. So Bryan, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, Brad, thank you so much. I just want to say thank you, and just how excited I am to join both you and Mike, 2 of my favorite people in franchising. I've worked with both of you for years, and just appreciate the quality and the character in terms of how you approach doing business with people. So representing home franchise concepts, if I may just give a little bit of background, we did $20 billion in revenue through our parent company last year. With 22nd largest privately held company in America, one of the top 3 franchising systems in all of America. In the home services area, which is what we'll talk more about through the panel here today and through some of the webinars, we focus on 10 different home service brands. And in our process, and feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions you'd like me to clarify, Brad, but our process is really not a selling process. It's more of a learning process. And our goal is to help you learn and determine whether or not the brand that we have, or the particular brands that you might be looking at, are a good and right fit for what you're trying to accomplish. So if you think about what Brad has already said about how he gets to know you and understand what you're trying to achieve, when he hands that baton over to me, we kind of have an understanding of what some of your goals are, but we try to get clarity in that process, trying to help you see and learn more, get into the more finite details, if you will, or finite was not the word I wanted to use there, but small details, if you will, getting down to the detailed level that you can fully understand. But if I think about, I had a couple of analogies came to mind when I was thinking about this, Brad, but you know, there's some things franchising can really do well for people that are trying to build their own entrepreneurial success. And there's three things that you can think about to make it simple, and that is who you know. And what that means is in the community where you're intending to build a business, who do you already know in that community? And then what you know. And a lot of times you're not going to know anything about a new concept that's been introduced to you, but that's where we help you learn, help train you to understand and be able to deliver on those products and services. By the way, we also can help on the who you know aspect of that as well. But the most important and third characteristic is who you are. And you're the only one who knows, you know, the character in which you're going to approach a business model. And we can bring to you success over many years. So, you know, in our case, home services, we've been doing for 33 years now. We have systems and processes that are very robust, very reliable, and able to help you build a very successful business. But who you are is part of what you have to determine. And again, our discovery, our learning process is helping you see clearly what we have so you can determine with what you know about yourself, can I build this in a successful way? And we're confident that if you can see it clearly and you understand our business model, if you've got all the personal characteristics to drive that business, we can put you in a successful place. What questions, Brad, could I answer beyond that?
Yeah, I think one of the real important points that you brought up, that this is really a learning process and not a sales process. And often, you know, people that are looking to find the right fit for them, they'll look at several different franchises, and that's okay. The industry, that's how it works. You're best to look at, you know, two or three companies and compare and contrast, and then you'll find the one that resonates with you. But if you lock in on just one franchise, then the learning process isn't as good as what it would be if you're looking at some different type of opportunities. It's a buying situation, and you're looking at the market and trying to find, you know, the best alternative for yourself. And can you tell us a little bit about the transparency and franchising with the disclosure document and access, you know, to talk with franchisees in the system? So I know that's all part of the process, and maybe you can tell them, you know, kind of how that works.
Absolutely. I wanted to also go back and just reinforce something else you said about that compare and contrast. As a franchise advisor, I get a little bit nervous when people are looking at one thing and they're honed in on it emotionally. What we're really trying to help you do by comparing and contrasting is get to an analytical resolution to understand how it works at not an emotional level, but an analytical model. Eventually it will resonate and it becomes a little bit more exciting and emotional, but at the point of clarity, we want to make sure that you understand it analytically. As far as transparency goes, and this is something we really try to model within home franchise concepts, is I tell people we're completely open. There isn't any place, any person, or any department within our organization that you can't ask questions and learn about, meet people to talk with, or even meet with owners across the nation and learn directly from them. The government requires through a compliance structure that there is a franchise disclosure document, which of course is intended to help you see it in terms of the detail. And that document's made available after the first conversation generally to help you begin to dig deeper into the details of how it works. But with home franchise concepts in particular, there's two things I can promise you. One is nobody's going to try to sell you a franchise. The second is we're going to be open to anything you need to learn so that you can talk directly with the people that have impact on your questions.
Well, thank you, Bryan. And yeah, one of the things I want to bring out is the transparency and franchising, as you mentioned, the Federal Trade Commission, they require that all franchise have a very detailed disclosure document. And also, what I'm trying to say is, when you look at in franchising, you're going to hear the good, bad, and ugly, and that's what you want to hear. I work with other classes of business, and they don't have that type of reporting information, and it really is a benefit to you. Looking at resales on Biz Buy Sell and different opportunities. You're not getting the information you need to make a really good decision. And at the end of the day, even with going through a franchise discovery process, you have to make a decision if you want to go forward. And so whether you do or you don't, everyone kind of has what they call, squeaky palms. And if you do decide to go forward, you have everything you need to be successful. Not only the support of the corporate franchise and all they provide, but all the franchisees in the system, and they're a second level of support. So if you're going into business independently, you don't have that type of support. So having two support systems and trying to operate a business is a really good thing. So thank you, Bryan.
You bet.
Appreciate all the information that you provided, and if you're looking for a franchise, I would start by contacting Bryan, because he's one of the best. So next, I'd like to turn it over to Michael Allen. He's the Chief Financial Officer for them, as well as a CPA. And First Financial has really been probably the top company when it comes to securing SBA loans. And I'll let Michael delve into all that, because he's an expert, and he's someone that my clients and myself rely on all the time. So Michael, tell if you could tell the audience how they can fund a business to help them realize the dream of home or business ownership. That I would be grateful if you could.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brad, and thank you, Bryan. You're both two of the best people to work with in this field. And home franchising concepts is amazing to work with. I've had the pleasure of working with them for the last 6 years. I just celebrated my 8th year here at First Financial. And I also help look at existing businesses, and I've looked at probably 300 or so different franchises and home franchising concepts. I never dreamed as a little boy that I would be an expert in budget blinds financial statements. First it was tight end for the Miami Dolphins, and now that dream went away. But probably good, because they're not playing too well. But what we do is we help people get funding for their franchise. And we have different type of loans that get you there. And like Brad said, we're experts in the field. We've been doing this for 27 years. Started doing SBA loans. My aunt, who is one of the founders of First Financial, started in the early 2000s. So you won't find somebody that knows more about SBA than her. Even I have to admit that, and I think I know everything. And one of the loans that she developed, it's called the Express loan. And that's a $150,000 loan that will help you start a at-home service franchise. And we've done, I don't even know how many, thousands. We do at least 500 or 600 a year. And we've been doing those for 13 to 14 years, I believe. And it helps somebody start their franchise. We also have, for a larger franchise, the Dream Loan. And that's up to $350,000. And that's for the loans that need a little bit more than 150,000. And both those loans, the great thing about them is there's no personal collateral. So you don't have to put your home on the line. The terms are simple. There's 10-year term on all SBA loans. The equity injection on, meaning down payment on the express loan, is 15% roughly, and on the dream loan, 20% roughly. And then the interest rate is actually good news for a change, because interest rates went down this month, is always prime plus 2.75, which is a total of 10.75 as we speak today, and hopefully will go down again in January. Then our other loan is the big ticket loan, and that is for larger projects, 350,000 up to 5 million. And we do those for business acquisitions and then startups that require a location. And that does require personal collateral, but it's still a 10-year term and interest rate of prime plus 2.75. And they're great loans. And you do hear people talk about, oh, I've had this experience and that experience with SBA, but those are the people that didn't work with us. Our job is to manage the process and help it streamline it for you. Our express loans, the reason it's called an express loan is it's done quickly, 30 days or less. And we've just had a couple recently that were done in 15 days. So it's not a long, drawn out process. And I've even had an acquisition loan with budget blinds that closed within 20 days. So it is a quicker process. And the reason why is we work with preferred lenders, meaning they have experience, have been approved by the SBA, and take the loan through the process. The horror stories you hear are people that will go to their local bank, and their local bank isn't a preferred lender, and then the SBA gets involved, and unfortunately, big government doesn't move quick, and they get the loan extended a little bit longer. But it's overall, like Bryan said, our process, and I tell everybody that I work with, my job isn't to get you the loan, which we do. My job is to make you feel comfortable through the process. And we break it up into little parts so that once we get you pre-approved, you feel a little bit more comfortable. Then you get approved, and you get more comfort. And then through closing, the ultimate comfort that you're making the right decision. Because it is the biggest decision most of us will ever make. Because not only is it a lot of money, it's also how you're going to feed your family. So we want you to feel comfortable. Did you have any questions of stuff I didn't cover, Brad?
Yeah, I guess.
Uh-oh. You were too excited to say yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess one of the things that people often wonder, do I have to be a millionaire to purchase a franchise? And I would say, yeah, that helps, but
it doesn't hurt.
that would be good. But most people don't. And I guess if you had never been involved in business ownership, you'd probably be surprised to hear that most business owners use someone else's money. And so here's the case: if you have like 50 to 100,000 in a 401k or retirement program, or just in stocks, you have enough really to purchase about any franchise. And like Mike said, often you only put 15% down and finance the rest. So if there wasn't, funding, then there wouldn't be that many people in franchising. And so it's okay to use an SBA loan or some type of funding that's available out there. And the thing that Michael brought up is that they really have a great process, and you'll have ease, I guess, and going through the funding process because they're so good at it. So I guess the difference with working for someone else and being a business ownership is you have skin in the game. And so like any investment, you're putting up money up front for a future return. So, you know, in business ownership, this is something that is a long-term process. It's not people often look at what's going to look like the first year. Well, what I look at is what's it look like in maybe the fourth year. So if you get this right, you don't have to do anything else. You can ride this out in the sunset. When you look at kind of, you know, what's going on today, most people change jobs every like 2.5 years. I mean, that is the average. And I think that's really hard to have any security when you're constantly changing jobs, and that's how the market is working. But with business ownership, if you get this right, that's the only thing you have to do the rest of your life. So there's a lot of good things that corporate provide, but on the other hand, you know, the longer you're working for someone else, the less secure you are. The longer you're in business ownership, really, the more secure you are. So if you're looking for security, long-term security, and building wealth, I hope you will consider franchising, as it's such a great tool if you've never been a business owner, because they have all the systems. And as a business owner, you're kind of a jack of all trades, not only operating the business, you have to figure out the sales, the marketing, the technology. They have that all done for you at a very high level. And those are things you need to succeed as a business owner. Sure, your personal part of it is very important, and your business can't be successful without your expertise and efforts. But what a great way to go into business when you are backed by one of the brands that has already proven it can win all over the country. So I want to thank everyone for listening in on our panel discussion, and hope that you know, helps you in trying to understand the process. Thanks again, and thanks Bryan, and then thanks Michael. Appreciate your willingness to come on and share the things that you provide. Thanks again.
You bet. Anytime.
Okay.